Boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Guys, let me tell you, sometimes in this life, right, it's very rare, okay, in today's society where you come across a woman that just gets it, right? It's even rare to come across a young woman who gets it. And Brett Cooper is a young woman who absolutely gets it, especially on this topic of hookup culture, okay, and how that is having such a negative impact physically and emotionally for Generation Z. Now, Brett Cooper, I'm not necessarily sure if you guys are familiar with who she is. She works for the Daily Wire. She's like the female Ben Shapiro. I watch a few of her videos because I believe she's my age, probably younger than me. I'm not Gen Z. It sounds like she considers herself to be Gen Z. I think Gen Z is technically if you're born after 1996. Again, I'm 27, so I guess I'm technically a millennial. She's probably younger than me, right? But again, I can relate to a lot of the things that she talks about because of her age. And she really does nail it on this conversation about how the left is reacting. Specifically, some of these young liberal women are reacting to Roe v. Wade being overturned and how they want to have sex without consequences. They want consequence-less sex. And that's just not a thing. It does not exist, okay? And that is ruining the young generation, okay? And again, it is rare to find a young woman that actually really understands this. And that's why I think this video is worth sharing. So I'm going to actually react to Brett Cooper, her take on this because I think it's very, very, very good. So without further ado, let's get into it.
Welcome back to the comments section. I'm Brett Cooper. We have been talking a lot about Roe v. Wade and abortion, but it really is the center of the news cycle right now. You can't get away from it. And I think it is an important topic regardless because there is a lot of misinformation about what the Supreme Court ruling means, about what that means for women, what that means for people being able to get medical procedures. I mean, come on. They are saying that women are going to go to jail if they have a miscarriage. So clearly, I think it's good that we're talking about it. So hopefully we can dispel some of those lies and some of those rumors. But one of my favorite things that has come out of all of this are the reactions of people saying, oh my God, we're going on a sex strike. Until all men get vasectomies, we're all going on a sex strike.
And you got simps out there that went out and got vasectomies, right, in support of these women, right? Blows my mind.
It's like, well, that might actually be good for you. But this one specifically pertains to Gen Z. But before we dive into it, make sure that you like this video. You guys know the drill. Subscribe to this channel if you have not already. Share it with your friends and ring that notification bell so that you never miss a comment section episode. I saw this trending on Twitter yesterday. It is a Insider News article, and the tagline was something like, Gen Z moving away from hookup culture, fears after Roe v. Wade being overturned. I was like, okay, this is great. I'm gonna click on it. So first of all, they have this little GIF up here, and apparently they did a poll on Instagram. Members of Gen Z, those born after 1996, that's me, told Insider that they are terrified of a post-Roe world. Today, the Supreme Court has reversed 50 years of constitutionally protected abortion rights. Earlier this month, Insider published several social media callouts requesting reactions, responses, and replies from members of Gen Z regarding their thoughts on hookup culture and sex in a possible post-Roe world. Dozens shared their insights. Just listen. Okay, this is just hysterical. How Gen Z described their feelings about a post-Roe world. Constant fear. Even on birth control, I am more hesitant. A lot more overthinking. The fear of getting pregnant is 1,000 times scarier. I think I'll just abstain. I'm terrified. I don't want to birth a child in a world like this. Closing my legs forever. I feel less empowered sexually than ever before. Hella scary.
So in my opinion, I think those are good and bad responses for a reason, right? They're bad because can you imagine how a young person is having anxiety because they can't abort a child, right? I mean, like you literally are letting your life be dictated by this policy, this thing that is 100% avoidable if you are responsible. The good part about these responses is that a lot of people are now saying, well, I'm going to engage in the behaviors that people on the right and conservatives have been saying that you should be engaging in the whole time, right? To prevent yourself from having to make that decision or going through the process of abortion and taking a life in the first place. That's kind of the irony here.
Like, that's the most Gen Z thing I've ever heard. I'm less sexually empowered and it's hella scary. Regardless of those, wackadoo responses, even on birth control, I am more hesitant, a lot more overthinking. The fear of getting pregnant is 1,000 times scarier. I think I'll just abstain. Those are actually quite healthy responses, because now you are actually having to think about the consequences of your actions. And a child is not a bad consequence. We don't want to put that connotation on them. You are engaging in sex. You are engaging in the potential of possibly bringing a child into the world. For the past 50 years, we have lived in a world where you don't have to really think about that. I mean, some people do if you're, pro-life, or if you just, maybe you're pro-choice, but you personally don't want to get an abortion. I could talk for days about, abortion and saving the children and that kind of thing. But I genuinely think that this is emotionally healthy for my generation. All we care about is, cheap, materialistic intimacy. We don't really look for deep, meaningful, connections.
Facts. And that's what's driving a whole lot of these women insane, okay? That's why, a lot of these women are having the problems that they're having, is because they're engaging in this culture of just sleeping around with as many men as possible, thinking that that is going to satisfy them and fulfill them, when they're just not built that way biologically and emotionally, right? Women need deep connections, right? They need a deep connection with a man, right? One man. And you can't do that when you are spending your life trying to be strong and independent. Don't need a man. Let me sleep with whoever I want to sleep with. I'm going to go out here and wear, I'm a slut, right? On my shirt, I'm a whore. That has a lot of consequences. And the women that are so gung-ho about that, as you can tell, they're super crazy, right? They have a lot of emotional issues and emotional trauma that they're going through. They're never going to be happy. They're never going to be married, right? For that very reason, okay? So again, these are the consequences of the hookup culture, hookup generation, and it is especially bad for women because the women are not built for that. However, we have a society that's encouraging women to be like men. And women are not built to be like men, okay? They're not built for what we're trying to push on them society. And we're seeing the consequences of that. That is why a lot of these young liberal women are freaking out over the fact that Roe v. Wade is being overturned, because they're like, oh, I now have to think about the consequences of my actions. Like, if I go out here and I participate in this culture, right, there are consequences. I may have to actually carry a child, which is going to make them abstain from that toxic behavior in the first place. So again, this is healthy and this is good. I 100% agree with Brent Cooper here. She's right on point.
Most of my friends growing up, especially on the left when I was in LA, they're never in relationships. They were just engaging in constant hookup culture, meaningless sex. And I am telling you, not good for your mental health. That is like a baseline understood fact, especially for women. It is literally biological. And I know we don't really like biology these days. We don't even know what a woman is. Casual hookup culture sex is not good for women. So all of this fear, thinking that it's a bad thing, I actually think that it could be a good turning point for my generation. It is a wake-up call. Right over there, go on. Madeline V, somebody that they interviewed, said that she might be done with men altogether. The 24-year-old, who identifies as bisexual, told Insider that sticking to female partners may be the safest way to avoid an unwanted pregnancy.
Hey, what can I say? Go for it. Knock yourself out, right? If you want to sleep with women, you're a woman, you want to sleep with a woman to avoid getting pregnant. If that's how far you're going to go, fine, right? Fine. Do that. Okay?
I mean, yeah, that is one way to do it. You're literally so upset that you can't kill a fetus that you're just going to be with women for the rest of your life. I mean, it's a personal choice. Go for it. Whatever. Madeline then said that the possibility of Roe being overturned has deterred her from casual sex. This was, again, before Roe actually got overturned. This was when the opinion was leaked. The uncertainty has also prompted her to take a more proactive approach when she does partake. Her quote is, "In hookup culture, if you're just hooking up, you don't bring up that stuff right away normally. But when it comes to if you're actually going to sleep with somebody, I think at this point that definitely needs to be addressed."
Wow. Doing exactly what grown responsible people have been telling these young people that they need to do for a long, long, long time. Hey, think about who you sleep with, right? Especially if, hey, there's a chance that you're going to have a child with them. You might want to be very, very, very careful about who you decide to lay down with, right? And take proactive steps to make sure that you don't have a child. Again, this is amazing, right? They're responding exactly how we want them to respond, right? Again, it's amazing how this works.
The fact that those conversations weren't happening before this, shocking. That is why I think that this could be a good thing, just for the well-being of this generation. Having some responsibility, having some self-worth. Hey, maybe I shouldn't sleep with this person. Would they actually be there for me if I had a child? That should be an indicator that you should not be sleeping with them. Sorry to be blunt, but it's true. And the fact that this was so out of sight, out of mind for so many young people, it's sad. All right, here's another one. Catherine says that she has reevaluated the consequences of casual sex and that they have suddenly become very real due to the way that hormonal birth control affects her mental and physical health. Catherine does not use it. And she said, as much as I want to have fun in my 20s, what happens to me when the fun stops? What happens to me when I might be in need of an abortion and can't access that?
Well, see, again, here's the issue, right? These people, a lot of these people, the issue is that, well, I can't have consequenceless sex anymore. What they want to do, guys, they don't want to use contraceptive, right? They don't want to use a condom, right? Because with condoms, hey, you can't get the feeling, and, hey, they might break, okay? They don't want to use birth control, right? A lot of them don't even want to use Plan B, which is controversial in and of itself. They don't want to use any type of contraceptives. They just want to be able to have as much unprotected sex as they want and have no consequences, right? They don't want to use any type of protection, anything. They just want to say, look, if I happen to get pregnant, I can just get rid of the child. Now that they don't have that option, all of a sudden, they're realizing the value of contraception, right? And again, that is what really blows my mind about this is like, why in the world did it take society taking away your option to eject a fetus for you to say, well, you know what, let me actually be responsible and realize that, you know what, there are consequences to having sex. There's no such thing as consequenceless sex because even if you're doing it unprotected, if you're hooking up with a whole bunch of people, then there's the chance that you can catch an STD, right? That has a consequence. Again, a lot of these people are living for Cocoa Puff world, and Roe v. Wade being overturned was really a wake-up call for them.
So you want to be able to kill a child so that you can just have fun in your 20s. I don't know how to be more clear, that you don't get to have both. You want to be able to kill.
Honestly, we should have used a condom, but we got distracted.
Honestly, we've been together for a while, so
Kill
a baby so that you can have fun in your 20s. That's just a very backwards, in my opinion, a moral way of thinking. It's very, very self-centered. Because we all need to, clean up our own room, to use a Jordan Peterson line, before we go out into the world. We need to take care of ourselves. But this is literally taking a life so that you can go have some frivolous fun. I also do appreciate the fact that she is talking about hormonal birth control and how it affects her mental and physical health, because that is a fact for women that we don't talk about a lot. We also don't teach women about how to, regulate their cycles. We don't teach them about any other options. One of my favorite things that has come out of this Roe v. Wade stuff is people saying, there is no birth control that is 100% effective. What am I going to do? Yes, there is. Keeping the legs closed.
Facts. They don't want to hear that, though. They don't want to hear that.
It's literally that simple. Anyway, all the comments were a massive white pill because people were saying, this is awesome. And this is great. This is so positive. This guy's angry. Unfortunately, this probably makes a lot of pro-lifers sing with glee because they want people to have a puritanical, fearful relationship to sex.
Well, that's just lazy writing.
I'm not saying that you need to be afraid of sex. I'm not saying that sex is a bad thing. I am just saying that if you are with somebody of the opposite sex, there are real life consequences, emotionally and physically, that come with that.
I would add to that, even if you're with somebody of the same sex, there are real world consequences emotionally and physically that come with that, right? I'm just saying.
And we live in a culture and a society that is apparently skirted over that, skirting over teaching kids about it in, sex ed, skirting over any kind of responsibility that comes with it.
See, speaking of the sex ed thing, again, I wouldn't mind sex ed in school if they actually were teaching about responsible sex. I would say, that makes sense. Okay. And teaching about the consequences of it. Right. However, that's not what's happening in today's sex ed classes. In today's sex ed classes, they're teaching about gender ideology and, all types of weird stuff that they're pushing on kids. They're not actually really teaching things that I think makes sense for high schoolers that are 17, 18, that basically are becoming adults, almost adults, need to know, right? They're teaching other things. They're pushing other things, and I think that's the biggest problem with it.
So I'm not saying be afraid. I'm not saying that it's a bad thing. I never will say that. I'm just saying that we are having a healthy dose of reality coming back into society. This one cracked me up. Not a political statement, but I didn't have sex in pre-Roe v. Wade world, and I'm just going to assume that date is going to remain the same and I'll die a monk somewhere. Yeah, there we go. Okay.
Yeah. So you guys get the gist of this, right? She absolutely nails it. Again, it's rare to see a young woman that actually really gets it, that gets it, that understands it. And that's why she's so successful, man, right? It's because of the mentality, okay? And people need to understand that. So let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.